He is an entrepreneur, an angel investor, Silicon Valley insider. Jason Calacanis is now joining us here in the herd. You can see him on CNBC. Absolute pleasure to have you in. I have brought on people like Mark Cuban before, and I find these interviews, my audience loves them. They're fascinating.
He's a friend, you said?
Yeah, Mark and I are old friends.
Yes.
What do you
He's
think
invested in 2 of my companies previously.
What do you think of eSports?
Esports, like as in playing StarCraft online? And
Yes.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's big.
Yes.
I mean, young kids are going. I mean, it started in Korea. You had 2 cable channels 24 hours a day watching these games. Now people are coming out to them. Yeah, it's a big business. And gambling on it's going to be big too.
So Colin should invest?
Well, if a deal's getting to you as a non-professional investor, it's probably the deal that's been picked over by a lot of professional investors.
That's right.
So probably not.
Yeah, see, that's the key. Here's a prime example. The other day, a friend of a friend of a friend called me, and he said, Colin, if you had a certain net worth, I could get you, because I believe Uber is going to transform transportation like Amazon transformed retail. You're an Uber investor.
Yeah, that's become my claim to fame now. You know, I basically was maybe the 3rd or 4th investor.
When you were pitched Uber,
Yeah.
what was the pitch?
So I knew the founder because I was a journalist. I had covered his previous 2 companies. And then I sold one of my companies, made a little bit of money, and started angel investing. And I just met him here on the Embarcadero coming out of a party. And I had just passed on investing in my friend's company. He said, my previous friend said, I'm going to create this company. He had created a blogging company, but we're going to get rid of, it's just going to be 140 characters, and anybody can just write something. And I said, Evan, you're an idiot. Like, every idiot in the world is going to start using this thing, and they don't even write sentences. It's going to be like a cacophony of, like, idiots. I will never invest in Twitter. This is a stupid idea. Like, the blog post was brilliant, right? Like, you have a headline and a blog post.
Yeah, move that mic right up to you. I want everybody to...
And so then I met Travis, and I had passed on investing in Twitter, which was a $50 million mistake. Travis said, hey, can I show you what I'm doing? And right before he showed me, I said, can I invest? And he said, yeah, of course you can invest in my next company, but let me show it to you. And he just showed me a cab on a map. And he said, the idea is we're going to like split one cab, like a Lincoln Town Car. We'll have 3 or 4 people split it. So it was actually kind of like time sharing maybe in the original days. And yeah, I said, sure, I'll put a little bit of money in that, and the rest is history.
Well, it's now changing the national jobs data. It can go to a city and give 25, 30,000 jobs. I think
Just getting started.
Oh, it's just getting started. I believe Uber's going to change the world. It's changed the town I live in. DUIs are down.
You talk about L.A.?
Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, Los Angeles was funny because everybody thought it wouldn't work in L.A.
Really?
And, well, because L.A.'s so spread out, traffic is such a disaster, and people in L.A. love their cars, and you're defined by your car in L.A.
Yes.
Because I lived in L.A. for 10 years. When I moved out, I was like, I'm going to get a Mini Cooper. And my wife was like, at the time, my girlfriend was like, no, you can't get a Mini Cooper. People are going to judge you. I'm like, this is the best car, man. It's affordable. It gets great. It looks good. She's like, no, you can't roll up in a Mini Cooper. And I had money at the time, but I was like, no, I like this car. So I got it. I pull into like, Four Seasons or whatever hotel, and people looked at me like I had the plague. They were like, oh, are you okay, Jason? Could I loan you some money? I was like, why? He's like, the car only costs $30,000. So then I would start taking my wife's Benz to meetings because people judge you by your car.
Yeah.
But what people didn't realize was young people, these millennials, they
don't care.
They don't care about that, and they don't want to grow up, right? Like, so anything that their mom did, you can make a business out of. So like owning a car and getting car insurance, like these millennials are like, I don't want to have to figure out how to get car insurance. So I would much rather just take out my phone and order a car than go through ownership.
Yeah.
Can't we say that it's because they don't want to get DUIs and they're being smart?
Well, that's a huge thing too. I mean, in LA, the end of the night is everybody going, am I going to get dinged or where am I at? And everybody timing it, and nobody would go out in LA and party. It was like, I'm not going to go out and party all night because I'm never going to be able to get a cab, and I'm going to get dinged for a DUI. So everybody goes to yoga in the morning. Now everybody in LA is drinking again.
Restaurants, bars, hospital.
I'll take an Uber to lunch just because I don't want to deal with parking.
No, I know people that own restaurants where I live, and they are saying that Uber is a 15% pop on their bars and restaurants.
Of course. Well, we would go out, and nobody would order a bottle of wine because it's like, well, if I finish the bottle of wine, my reward is to get a DUI, right? And so, and self-driving cars are going to take this to the next level. We'll be the last generation of people who know people who died in car crashes. Like, that's going away.
Yes.
Going to zero.
Jason Calacanis joining us, entrepreneur, angel investor, Silicon Valley insider. You've seen him on CNBC, an initial investor on Uber. You passed on Twitter. You went in on Uber, which I actually like more. People are saying the end of Twitter. I don't buy it. It's got $3 billion in cash, but it does feel like the Associated Press wire with trolls.
Yeah, I mean, any anonymous platform eventually goes down in flames. And so Facebook is the only social network messaging platform that uses real names, right? You're forced on Facebook to use your real name. If not, your friends can rat you out and they turn the account off. Twitter's hit 300 million people every month with anonymity. And if you're a public figure like yourself, you're used to people saying, Colin, you're an idiot.
Right.
I hate you. I mean, you're in sports radio. I
Yes.
mean, half of the people talking to you tell you
My
an idiot.
fans hate me.
Of course, and that's why you're so successful. And the problem is everybody now is a micro celebrity, and everybody is like so upset by their feelings being hurt that they're like, well, I put myself out into the world, and then people said they don't like me. And anonymous people can create 10 accounts and just torture people.
Yeah.
Civilians out here are not used to being tortured the way we are as public figures.
Right.
So there's this huge adjustment period going on where people are like, I'm being harassed. I need to call the police. And then the police laugh, and they're like, because they told you you're fat?
Yeah.
Or that you're an idiot?
Yeah.
Or that you don't read? And so Twitter has to just basically decide to verify names and make it real accounts if they want to grow to Facebook level. If not, they can just go with the verified accounts for now.
Jason, let me ask you a question about how Silicon Valley changes. Now, 30, 40 years ago, things that were activated were changing people's lives, changing healthcare. Could I make the argument now that we're through much of the transformative period? Now it's just stuff to entertain us like apps. Do we on the horizon have real technology enhancements that help poor people, that help sick people, and it's just not about entertaining other millennials with apps?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the number of poor people in the world, people living in poverty as like an actual number, I mean, it's halving like every 10 years. So
Wow.
Things are getting much better. And violence is way down in the world, right? So what people don't realize is the world's getting better and better, but because of media, every bad thing that has ever happened in the world, now everybody sees collectively at the same time, and it creates a massive amount of anxiety and this perception that the world is getting worse. The world is getting massively better. As I spoke about, like people having self-driving cars and people having Uber to not have DUIs, in our lifetime, those things are going to go away. And then customized medicine, people being able to look into your DNA and figure out what cancer drug works for Christine or Colin or Jason, and then prescribe them, it's going to be amazing. We're probably going to add, I'm assuming everybody here, Christine, you look like you're 25, but we look like we're 40.
No.
Yeah.
I'm assuming everybody here is going to add at least 10 years to their lifespan.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe we add a year every 5 years to lifespan. So if you're 50 and you get 30 more years, you're probably going to add 3 or 4 more years. All that stuff's coming. And transportation and poverty, they're all going to go away. The thing that's going to be challenging is jobs.
Yes.
Because the idea that people are going to do manual labor is just, that's farcical.
Disappearing.
Disappearing.
The robots, I talked to Mark Cuban about this. I've talked to the President of the United States. He came on twice, very, very lucky. And I asked him, I said, my fear is not race.
Right.
My fear is not territorial jurisdictions like what Israel and the Gaza Strip deals with.
Right.
My fear in America is regular people that do not advance into a technology sphere very well.
Yeah.
My mom or somebody that is still in the workforce, a 40-year-old male who doesn't even know what Snapchat is. What does he do in 22 years when he is
Game over. Yeah, it's game over. There are people in like the star chamber elite places right now talking about a world in which there's 50% unemployment or 25% unemployment. And by the way, those places exist in the Middle East where they give subsidies to people in order for them to have money to survive based on the oil in those regions. They're allowed to do that. Or able to do that, I should say. So what's going to happen is some of the interesting proposals of a jobless world are the work week going to 4 days a week.
I love that.
If the work week goes to 4 days a week, you have 20% more jobs. If we double, triple the number of healthcare workers, right, you can create a lot more jobs. If you double, triple the number of teachers, and then if you extended K through 12 to K through, let's call it 16 or maybe 18, right? In other countries like Denmark, they they pay you to go to college. They give you a $1,000 a month stipend. And then the ultimate way to handle this would be with something called guaranteed income. And what that is everybody puts a bunch of money in, and everybody gets $1,000 a month to have basic income. So it sounds like communism or socialism, and it is. And it really takes out people's motivation to go to work every day.
Yeah.
But if you get to somewhere around 15 to 20% of the males in a society being unemployed, you have riots in the street,
Yep.
and people start blowing up buildings.
Yep.
And that's just how it works.
And it sounds frightening. I've read so many stories on this, and you say I can hear my average guy going, "That's socialism." We are absolutely going to have to face a real challenge in the next 20 years of sustainability of middle class. I would say labor-intensive jobs.
Yeah, of course.
It's a huge issue in the country.
Yeah. And the next piece is really artificial intelligence, which basically means computers being able to make decisions and learn from the decisions they've made. And that would impact the white-collar worker, and the people who are in the service economy, right? So the ability of, even in journalism, they're making robots, basically, AI, to write stories. So the ability to write a sports story and be a local beat writer could be done by a computer today. Now, having an opinion, no. But just writing the basic copy could be done.
Thank God I have an opinion. Let everybody out there doing this.
Let it be a lesson to you.
Jason Calacanis, entrepreneur, angel investor, Silicon Valley insider. Okay. Is there you've told us the company you went all in on, Uber, the one you passed on Twitter, Facebook's, I think, magnificent, growing, got its issues, but has made that social media thing work. If I said to you today, there's a company right now that maybe you couldn't get in on,
right?
But you really like it, and I haven't heard of it, and I know, without boring a dullard like me, is there something out there that fascinates you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there that fascinate me right now. I think robotics is going to be really interesting. So taking robots and applying them to tasks that people do over and over again. So right now I have a robotic company that I've invested in that's going to come out in March. That's basically could replace Starbucks, basically, with robots. And so
Starbucks is the company that, isn't that like the great company to work for? They give you benefits.
Yeah, it's over.
And they treat their employees
well. How about
well.
this?
Really?
How about this, Jason?
No more baristas.
Wait, so what if I want to
Christine, do you want to make coffee all day?
Do I want to make coffee?
No.
Yeah. Does anybody?
I'm bad at making coffee. No one wants me making
There's like
coffee.
Jason,
there's 1,000 hipsters who do want to make that latte art. The rest of them are there because they have to be.
Okay, Jason, what about a government
Robotic.
A government stepping in and saying, we don't want to go there. We are the leading democracy. We are the leading government. We are the leading commerce in the world. We simply do not want. What if a government limits technology? Is it possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have tried that experiment. They turned the internet off, and China turned the internet off for many years. It negatively impacted the economy, and then now China is becoming more like a democracy, and they're starting to put rules in place in a communist socialist country to allow people to start businesses and have protections for their businesses. So it's going to look a lot more like a democracy. So you can stick your head in the sand, but then you'll become North Korea or Cuba or China, places where they turned the internet off for a long time or censored it. You really can't hold back this technology. You have to learn to live with it. And, there'll be things that are challenging like employment, but we as a society can get through them. We live in a time of massive abundance. Things that will be free in our lifetime: energy, water, food. All of those things will wind up being free in our lifetime. I mean, the fact that you can buy a pair of jeans today or food today for the same price we paid in the 80s is pretty stunning, right?
Yeah.
That's because of technology. The fact is, you can buy a pair of jeans now for $25 or $15. When I was growing up in the 80s, like, you could buy jeans for $25. Like, how are they the same price? How come they haven't gone up? Well, it's because robots make them, right? So free energy is coming. Solar, obviously. It's going to trend to zero. We see oil going down to 20 bucks a barrel. It's going to go down to nothing. The amount of time and the energy it takes to take the oil out of the ground will not be worth it soon. Think about that. It's not going to be worth it to jig up oil anymore because we have free solar, and there's other technologies, fusion reactors, stuff like that coming. If we get energy for free, which we will, then we have water for free, because water and clean water is just a matter of cleaning it, which is an energy problem. Basically keep Israel, in water through desalinization will become free. And if you have free water, then you have essentially free food, because the robots, and I'm investing in a bunch of companies doing stuff in agriculture, and robotic agriculture is going to be amazing. You're going to be able to have a bunch of robots in a very small area, local to your home, in Los Angeles, a couple of miles from your home, or a couple of city blocks, where robots are just tending to the food that you will then go collect, or will be delivered to you by robot. So it's going to happen in our lifetime. It sounds like science fiction, but free food, free water, free energy, our lifetime.
Jason Calacanis.
I'm big on Snap right now. I'm big.
Entrepreneur.
That's the future. I mean, if you look at DJ Khaled right now,
yeah,
he's getting 3 million views. Kim Kardashian's getting like 1.5 million people watching her show.
Why is that better than Instagram, though? I usually feel like I'm up in the times of social media, but this
All
one
right,
I'm
here's
lost.
the thing. When you want to shoot a video of yourself and you put it on a permanent record, like Twitter or YouTube or Snapchat or Instagram, you really think about it, right? And you might make 3 or 4 different versions of it and then pick the best one. On Instagram, you just take it out, you shoot the video, you can't upload it from your photo library, and it goes away in 24 hours. So young people... On Snapchat.
Okay.
Right. So people don't think about what they do on Snapchat. It's very loosey-goosey. There's no permanent record, which then makes it very much like this weird ephemeral reality television show. And young people, if you're under 25, that's all they use.
Yep.
Because they don't want a permanent record of them out at bars doing
That's right.
shots, going
That's
crazy.
Okay,
right.
but
Okay, we
it
gotta
is
run here.
permanent somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
What's that?
It is permanent somewhere.
It can be saved, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, people are not saving snaps.
All right, we got to get out of here, Jason.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure. We all got smarter. I certainly did. If he could
You didn't
somehow...
ask me about Porzingis or the Knicks.
Listen, we have time.
Have me
for-
back.
You Knick fans
You're
are so
saying who
starved
cares?
for love. I totally get it.
We're going to be 500 this season.
I
It's a
know.
huge thing.
Congratulations.
We could be 500.
Mardi Gras in the
It's
streets.
huge.
It's the Herd.
8 seed, baby.